Good evening, Chicago. I'm Winter Lake at winterlake.com, streaming at QUE4.org, AM 1710. Today I do have a special show for you with Jenny Butler, who is a druidess. She is due to phone me shortly. She is in Ireland, however, so the time expanse and series of other events that may go on may delay her speaking to us today, but I'm hoping that she will phone in and we will commence our show. We're back. I'm Winter Lake. I have disappointing news. Jenny Butler is probably asleep in her bed all the way over across the world in Ireland, and she is not calling, so we will have to reschedule her. These things do happen in live radio, and I am live, and if you choose to phone me, I'm at 773-217-8344. I've had a very interesting evening. I was staying at this hotel downtown just because I wanted a break from my apartment, and I wanted to be a little closer to the studio. And I tell you, it was like one thing after another with these hauntings or some kind of things going on in that place. I must be like a chaos magnet or something, because it was just crazy all night, and I myself have not really slept much at all. But I'm feeling pretty good as the snow is coming down, and I'm looking out the window at the loop, and it's just saturated with cars, and everyone's talking about, like, Thanksgiving and all this. And I really don't care about Thanksgiving. I don't know why. Just no one really that I even know cares about it anymore. I think there was such a travesty with Thanksgiving as the whole United States of America is built on the genocide of these Indians and these pilgrims that came over supposedly in the name of God, that said we found the new land and we will convert the pagan. But I guess their conversion is meaning outright extermination. And also when the pilgrims arrived, they brought with them pestilence and death because they were inoculated against certain viruses and things that, the general population wasn't. But of course, that's why we celebrate Turkey Day now, as it's become widely known. And I was receiving a lot of emails in regards to my show about JFK, and there's still a lot of unanswered questions. I received an email from an ardent skeptic who wrote some book, who believes everything, I guess, the government tells him. And he says there was only one shooter and that it was Oswald and such and such. And when I was speaking with him via email, I said, well, how does that ferret out from the mind of Oswald the killer if he was the assassin? It just doesn't make any sense why he would come out of the gallery and say that he was a patsy. My definition of patsy is a person who is being framed, and I think that Oswald knew he was being framed, and that's why when they brought him out of the gallery, that police officer who knew Jack Ruby turned him a certain way when he saw that Jack Ruby was approaching. And it was in such a way that it made the shot that Ruby was going to give with his pistol a kill shot, because it passed through him. So why would that cop who used to attend the clubs of Jack Ruby, who was a renowned, underworld figure, be addressing the assassin, and then Ruby coming there and addressing the assassin. That in itself is a conspiracy. It has nothing to do with the actual Kennedy situation. If you look at just that the two men that were there together at the same time, which would be called handlers, although Ruby wasn't a handler, he was more a nuisance. Other police officers who were in the gallery felt that Ruby was always there. He was a news hound, and he was trying to, always become a star or something, or find out what's going on. There's always those annoying people. And they just knew each other. And the one had the plot to kill Oswald, and he did, and then the other knew him. So it was just one of those weird things that I think is an absolute conspiracy. And then I also received another email from someone who wanted me to go into more of the exploration of the similarities between the assassinations and Lincoln. I had only touched on this during our show about it. And I guess, as my radio show, because I have the power to basically do whatever I want, I can be freeform and talk about whatever I want. And if I want to continue on with this, I will. But throughout these next 2 hours of the Pentacle-Hours, we're going to have just free-form discussions, and I'm going to talk about a lot of different areas. But in addressing the specific thing in dealing with similarities between the assassination in Kennedy and Lincoln, I printed out some things on it. Lincoln was elected to Congress in 1846, and then Kennedy was elected to Congress in 1946. So that's just bizarre. If we're looking at mathematics, Lincoln was elected president 1860. Kennedy was elected president in 1960. Lincoln lost his wife and child while living in the White House. Kennedy, his wife lost a child while living in the White House. It's not that Lincoln lost his wife and child. His wife lost a child. So both of them had that in common, that their wives had lost children. Something else that I'm seeing, that Lincoln was directly concerned with civil rights, and then so was Kennedy. He was directly concerned with civil rights. And it goes on and on. Lincoln was shot in the Ford Theater. Kennedy was shot in a Lincoln made by Ford. I mean, it's just bizarre. He was shot on a Friday. The other was shot on a Friday. The assassin was John Wilkes Booth, was known by 3 names, comprised of 15 letters. The assassin, Lee Harvey Oswald, was known by 3 names, comprised by 15 letters. Both shot Lincoln in a theater and fled to the warehouse. Oswald shot Kennedy from a warehouse and fled to a theater. I mean, not both, but Booth. And it's just fascinating. Booth was killed before being brought to trial. Oswald was killed before being brought to trial. That's just perplexing to me. These synchronicities are all around us. And if you follow your omen signs or your social cues or whatever you want to call them, you can really tune in on this. And life gets really interesting because you kind of see what's coming up around the bend. And when you can conquer that bend, you basically have conquered the world. Lake at winterlake.com, streaming QUE4.org. I hope your night is well. It is pitch black out there at AM 1710. Announcing to about 873,000 residents, I believe, somewhere out there in the aether. Someone was emailing me about further synchronicity, but I can tell you from my own personal experience of synchronicity, it never ends. It never ends, especially when you're dealing with murder. I think last year I knew someone, an artist, who was in Chicago and then decided to move to Elgin, Illinois. In the same space, a discussion was taking place. So I talked with this person at a place called the Continuum downtown. It's an actual place. I'm going to be filming there on Tuesday. I'm going to be doing more Star-Crossed Vampire episodes and all kinds of different stuff. But anyway, this woman, not to mention names, and the gruesome brutality of the murder was horrid. But she's a great artist. She did some spectacular paintings and was very much into tattoos. So in this discussion, I said, don't move to Elgin, because I was reading her tarot cards. And she said, no, I want to go out there. I'm going to get married and all this kind of thing. Neither here nor there. The woman, via this space where we had this discussion and did her tarot cards, moves to Elgin and gets murdered. Okay, so it's horrible, and that happens. It's not an ego on my part. It's not saying, oh, look, I have this power to predict the future, although I do, to a certain regard, except for my own, which I'm pretty lousy at registering anything in my own life. But a similar incident has just recently occurred, and at this same place, with a person who is a girl very similar to the same girl that was murdered last year. So I'm at this location, this Continuum, which is a wonderful place, and I was reading tarot cards, and I met a woman, a young woman, artist, into tattoos, probably just as equally, if not better, than the previous girl. So just a year later. So I read her cards, and I told her, I said, don't move to Elgin. And lo and behold, I think like 2 days ago, she moved to Elgin, although she has not been murdered. And we don't want anyone murdered, but, it's just one of those weird things and synchronicity in my life that, you're a year later, probably about the same time of year, that you're telling someone and who fits the same modus operandi, same type and style and everything as the person previous before. I'm going to take a station break. I'm Winter Lake at winterlake.com, streaming QUE4.org. I know Sharon. She's the keyboardist in that band. Met her at Subterranean when they played a show there. And I remember like this line outside that couldn't get in, and something was going on, and it was wild because my ex-girlfriend, I lied to her. I said I wasn't there or something because she knew she could get in through me, and I said, no, I'm not there. But I was looking at the window, out the window on the third floor with the keyboardist laughing at the fact that she couldn't get in, but she's probably listening now and grinding her teeth and going to put more curses on me. But that's the way life is sometimes, isn't it? Received another dream, which I find fascinating. This dream interpretation could be kind of foreboding. And when dealing with foreboding or evil omens, things that could be distinctly considered unlucky, and they should be avoided accordingly. This exclamation of things like, it's just my luck, or sprinkling salt, or picking up a pin and point it towards you, or crossing a knife, or actually giving anyone a knife or a sharp instrument. These are all deemed sinister imports. I think salt is more of a cleansing, but salt was used in a lot of demonic rituals, so could be very construed as making your luck very changeable to the bad side. There's also numerous insects that are tied into bad luck, and this dream contains those as well, but never kill a spider. You may hate them, and they may fester inside your house, but they are money. And if you kill a spider, you are killing your money. And it's unfortunate that many people do go around killing spiders. It's very rare to be bitten by a spider. Although I had a friend of mine who had a spider in Virginia, got out of his tank, could not figure out how this thing got out because he had like this brick on top of it. I think his wife or whatever purposefully let the thing out. But anyway, it got out, bit his face, and then was back in the case the next day. And he wakes up with this big welt on his side of his face. It was ridiculous. But this dream, she's in a field. It seems to go forever, and then suddenly in a house, stairwells that go all over the place. And there's insects, a lot of different types of insects. Then she is drawn to a landing that begins to crumble, and everything in the house begins to crumble around and turn to ash and a series of other things. And then she finds herself eating the bugs for no random others than to just eat the insects, according to this dream. Now, there are some obvious cues. In looking at the perspective, hearing the actual dream is kind of, redundant. Okay, it's like some bad horror movie nightmare thing. But if you look at the field, you could interpret that as a position someone is taking or some kind of journey they're going to be on. There's some kind of nervousness there. The house, or to be sudden anywhere, means that there's a sudden shift in your life, or it's coming. That there is something that is going to be coming, and if you're uncomfortable in that space, as according to this dream is, then you're shocked into some kind of existence. There's something that has pushed you there. Now, if you're seeing the insects, that can go many different ways. It seems that the dream, that the insects weren't really a threat to her. So that's kind of, pretty standard, that they might mean actually good luck. However, where the dream shifts is when things start to collapse around in the dream, when you're feeling that the landing is folding, that everything is crashing in around you. That's your life. That means that your unconscious is telling you that something has to be addressed. And if you're not addressing it, that you're just going to feel this sensation. Now, when she was in the dream, she was reaching down and trying to eat the bugs, or was eating the insects. That was trying to grasp on to old derelict things. That was trying to gain power in a powerless situation. So it seems that in looking at this dream, that the facets of some kind of transition is going to happen. That one doorway is going to close, another one is going to open, and that might be leading that person to something else. And that's pretty straightforward. I am Winter Laake at winterlake.com, streaming at QUE4.org. Break for commercial. Lake.com, streaming at QUE4.org, AM 1710. It's interesting, I was getting more emails on dreams, but I think I want to talk about bad omens for a moment. I was just also reflecting on some of the lucky and the unlucky things that one should never do, and I was kind of shocked to learn some of them that have been failed on my part, and I've actually reaped the negativity of it. Like to return, or once an errand is started, a journey, it is unlucky to go back, even if you have forgotten something of importance. All persons afflicted with frequent lapses of memory should govern themselves accordingly. It is also unlucky to wash your hands with another in a basin. Or it is also considered unlucky to take off a ring that was a gift of a deceased person, or an engagement ring once it is attached to the person's hand, whether they accept or not. Very, very interesting. I did not know that. I think I am a victim of that, but I am a vagrant, so it was ill-favored. Notoriously looking at things right now, especially society, I think that bad luck is created by people all around. They can induce it themselves. They would probably be better to try to stay more positive, and I think that they would have an ability to overcome some of these negative things. People create their own luck in a sense. But some things in fate are never a straight line, and if you're trying to maneuver the world around us, which we all do as witches or whatever we want to call ourselves, we must pay attention to those omen signs. Or we get whacked over the head with a lot of negativity, or with a death blow, which is pretty common, as supposedly we are all going to die. But I don't want to die. I don't intend to die myself, but it probably is going to happen to all of us sooner or later. But in looking at this third dream that I've received, it has to do with fire and ice. And it's rare that someone would have a dream with both fire and ice, unless they're making it up. So we're going to take this one with a grain of salt, but I'm going to go ahead and read it anyway. So I was walking down the street slicked with ice, which then turned to fire, and I found myself in my closet. And in my closet there was a body hanging that was frozen in ice. Then I felt the door to the closet, and it was hot, and smoke began to come under the door. I walked out downstairs, and I was in the fire, however it was cold. Now, it does go on a little bit, but the general premise of it is kind of established, that you have these two equilibriums of reality, fire and ice. Now, earth, water, fire, air is what natural witchcraft focuses on. And it is what the tarot cards would focus on. That you would have cups, wands, pentacles, and so on and so on. Each symbolizing earth, water, fire, air, and the trump cards would signify the actual board under it. Now, this dream contains pretty much all those elements. It contains the earth, being the road that was frozen, the water being the water and the ice, the fire, and the air being the mist and the smoke. Now, the body in the closet had me kind of curious. Now, we all have our, skeletons in the closet. I really don't have any skeletons in the closet. I don't even care. I just have that kind of reality where I don't care about my closet, or, I don't know, whatever. But to look at a body in the closet from an interpretive standpoint would be symbolic of something that is being held back, that there is some kind of aching discontent, or secret, obviously secret, being held within the person, the individual. Something is being not spoken of, that they don't want to be forthright with. The body in the closet. And it's odd because it never really came addressed, that the person was able to just walk out into the fire, being symbolic of whatever, the secret being revealed, the fire being, this whole terror that the individual holds that's not real. That there is no terror in walking out from the closet. So you would almost want to say that the body and the individual obviously are one and the same. That the terror of the smoke coming under and the terror of the fire outside didn't hold anything of fear, that it could be overcome. So when the person walked out into the fire burned cold. which reveals that, okay, I have this dire secret or I have this dire anxiety over something, and it doesn't really hold any real boundary that I was able to overcome it. And I think with that, I'm going to play a little bit more music. I'm Winter Lake, winterlake.com, streaming QUE4.org, AM 1710, and receiving more dreams. And if you'd like to email me a dream, you can at wolfloki@yahoo.com. And if you'd even like to phone in, I think we have a number for that. It is 773-217-8344. Although we're getting a few prankers today. It must be the banshees are out. I don't think we have a full moon yet, do we, Jason? Do we have a full moon?
No, I think we're halfway there.
Do the banshees... Have you ever been in an asylum while the full moon was out? Huh?
Well, considering that I've been in an asylum for more than 8 months, I would say on several occasions there was a full moon.
Yeah. What was it like when the full moon would come out when you were in the asylum?
Well, I'll tell you one experience in the full moon is that there was this hovering craft right outside my window, and there was this bright light shining on me, and I thought, oh, spooks, they're after me. So I embraced myself in the bathroom, which was guarded by lead walls, and I felt safe.
Bizarre. I don't even know if I didn't even know they had lead walls. Well, I guess they would, right?
They do use lead paint. I know that for sure.
That's crazy. That makes people more crazy. If you're in an asylum and they're using lead paint and you're in a leaded wall, I mean, doesn't lead, make a person insane?
If you consume it.
But no, I mean, it's the exposure or something. I mean, I'm sure.
Well, lead is one of the most dense substances, and it does trap a lot of interference.
But yeah, I mean, I know it does. Ironically, one of my favorite films, although I don't really like the name, is Hell House, where the old owner of the place, Belasco, was held up in this room of lead. And his ghost could go and haunt the house, and then the ghost would hide in the room. He knew years before the technology through EMFs to drive him out of the abode. And so he would stay inside this leaded room, at least the ghost would. I don't know how that's probable, but it is Hollywood after all. But all of the psychics that went in to investigate him were killed one by one. And then he would use these bizarre ways of doing it, like driving stakes in their legs and things. The ghost would make things collapse out of the ceiling, similar to what's been going on around here, considering things just fall out and mics break and electrical chatter. But I think I know who's responsible for that. I'm getting to the bottom of things. Do you get to the bottom of things?
I tend to.
Yeah?
I like to.
Do you ever think anybody would ever put a spell on you, Jason?
Well, not particular unless if I go against their ways.
Oh, really? Go against their ways. So they have do you think that you should go with that person, that their ways reign more than your own individual will?
Well, yeah. I particularly don't like stepping over other people's feet, and if it's a consequence of what I'm doing, then maybe I should change, and
a consequence.
We'll get the bigger picture.
Interesting. So you don't think you've had anybody ever put a spell on you before? Curse or something? I don't think it'd be a curse. I don't know.
No, I mean, there may be some technological things like that implant that I mentioned before. But
yeah, that's bizarre.
I'm not too sure what its function is.
Have you tried to get it out? Or you don't know what it is? The doctor just implanted it? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I was a nurse. She was withdrawing blood. So the first time she tried to withdraw blood, it didn't work. And I saw a little red dot go in my arm. And then the second time, the blood draw was successful.
It sounds like nanocellular technology or something. They'd probably put a GPS encoder in you. So you know where you are all the time.
That's probably all it is. Considering the circumstances, it's probably benevolent.
You know, with magic, how it works or a person's intention. I don't really necessarily go out of my way on an individual basis to put spells on someone, but it does work. When you focus your will and through certain incantations, you can bring about events. You can change circumstances within a causality and relativity, and begin an entire change in that person that is incredible, I mean, I do it. I put curses on people. I've removed curses. I've brought influence on certain things, but I don't bring it against my friends or people I know, despite what they think. Just don't. But I am starting to get to the bottom of things, though. I think one little spell might have gotten away from me. I don't know how it was able to happen, but in regards to one's own life, psychics or Satanists or whatever they are, witches, they kind of don't see the forest for the trees. It's kind of like being in an accident, on the freeway. You don't see it happening. But maybe if you had causality, remote influenced it or remote viewed it, you might have been able to turn right instead of left and avoid the entire conjunction of that accident before it took place.
Yeah, that is a big question. And I think one of the shows that was on AMC for one season that shows a lot of that is Rubicon.
Oh, yeah? Was that about the change of causality?
It is about the change of causality. You had these people that were going against the system, and they were cursed.
How were they cursed? I mean, who cursed them?
Well, there was the death of one of the characters that was going against the system, and freak accident. He was in a car on a train, and it hit an oncoming train. Stuff like that just doesn't happen unless if there was a curse. Kind of makes me think about that CTA train that bizarrely just turned itself on and crashed into the other CTA train.
That's weird you're bringing that up. I was getting in from Los Angeles that night. I was on a train on a phone with my friend from Los Angeles. And I was like, while that was happening, and this doesn't matter, and I don't care if it's proven, but I was like, hey, I could probably make one of these things run on their own. So I'm coming in on the Orange Line, going back to my apartment on the north side. And there's many connections, but whatever. And I'm on the phone, and then when I get home, I hear that, like, this train deactivated or went on its own and hit something else. I mean, not that I was responsible for it, but now my friend, he's like, you did it. You'd only get that if you had somebody on the phone with you at that time when you talked about that, Same thing happened with the tsunami. This tsunami that occurred and wiped out all these people before Christmas or after Christmas. I was talking with my mother. I said, I bet there's going to be some crazy catastrophic event, to celebrate Christmas. And she's like, you're crazy, whatever. Then the next day, like 200,000 people got wiped out. Just weird things like that. But only things you would share with that individual or an individual. So you get that weird synchronicity there that, you would only believe it one-on-one.
Well, it's one thing to will something. It's another thing to kind of feel that something's going to be willed.
Right, exactly. I'm not saying that I caused the train to go. It was just weird because I was thinking about it. And, my friend was goading me, I was thinking, oh, yeah. But then when he read the news the next day, it was like, wow, the train. It wasn't even the next day. I think it was like within hours because in our instantaneous global mind culture, everything is readily available.
But yeah, when I say about going against the system and the psychic and ability to curse people, you have to be aware of that entity or node to be able to curse it. So the best thing to do is just kind of stay underneath the current and not be known about what you're doing. Kind of stay away from that matrix.
I don't stay away from it though. I embrace it. So what are you going to do? Are you going to wear your little white robe and chase me around? You're going to be the good. You're going to be the good guy.
Well, yeah? I mean, if anything, just use it as a proxy.
All right. I'm Winter Lake at winterlake.com, streams QUE4.org, and receiving more emails. Probably not going to do too much more dream interpretation, but I think my guest emailed me and said she's actually asleep in her bed listening to me on the radio right now. So that's kind of interesting, isn't it? The guest that's going to be on is asleep in her bed listening to me, right, Jason?
Yeah, I mean, that would, to be honest, I got here about 30 minutes ago.
Oh, there you go.
I took a 15-minute nap while listening.
Oh, really? So you were asleep too? What is this? Everyone is falling asleep. It's only 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm sedating people,
Well, I tell you, I did have a dream a little while back.
You did?
Yeah.
What was your dream?
Well, I was on planet Earth, if that's no surprise to anybody.
Well, okay. Now you're being facetious, but whatever.
But, I was in this enclosure with windows, and there was this table. I looked down at it, and I wrote on a piece of paper to this fellow, "Where are we going?" And he wrote down, and this is before I even knew the word existed or what it was, Andronima. So when he wrote that down, the whole planet Earth shifted through some kind of gate.
And this was your dream, huh?
Yeah, and then I ended up in the Andronima system, and there were 2 suns, and I woke up after that, and I wrote down what it was that they wrote down. I looked it up and discovered that it's an actual constellation.
So in your dream, but probably your subconscious could have somewhere along the line reading some cosmic book or something, it's seen that and then made a mental note of it and then played it back in your mind. So I'm just interpreting it now. I mean,
well, at that point I was just reading about the reptilians, and they're not part of that system. So it actually changed my direction of research into some of the more benevolent beings that are part of the Andronima system, and the Pleiadians and all those other species that are more human-like and less reptilian-like.
Did this dream begin your episodic journey into UFO reality, where you started to believe that UFOs were real, or what?
Well, I would emphasize the quotes over reality, because I don't know for any certainty if this is all manufactured or not.
Yeah, that's true. It's true. Well, your dream could mean that, you were lucid dreaming and possibly remote viewing without your own conscious awareness, astral travel, whatever, and you went out of yourself, went instantaneously to this other system known as Andromeda, and then when you awakened, the strain or the remote viewing aspect was gone. Then you went and immediately looked it up and researched it and found it to be real. Where you gain that information is very, lucid, surreal, unknowing. So you could have gained it from glancing at one of books or whatever, or it is something out of the unconscious that was projected through space and time.
All right. One of my ideas is that I was actually entering another body of consciousness in the future, that maybe this is an event that might happen somewhere in our future, or maybe our past. Maybe it's already journeyed there and back for whatever reason, that there are some higher authorities and any beings on Earth, such as the governance of solar systems and planets, that if intelligent species are able to travel without moving, for instance, that there would be a governance.
Well, that makes absolutely no sense, but that's okay. I'm just kidding. No, I mean, there's a lot of things to it. I do think you're remote viewing. I think there's a remote viewer inside you. You could probably, activate your own CTA train and get it running,
Yeah, just hopefully I don't crash to another one.
This other dream that I just got in my email is kind of interesting to me to interpret. this person is out on a dock in outer space that goes out into space, and then it suddenly turns into water. So I guess we've seen those surreal paintings. So I guess we could take it with a grain of salt that possibly seen some of these surreal paintings that go out into nowhere, and then the water is there or something, or outer space. This person says that there were people chasing him with ice picks that later turned into serpents, and as they approached, they went inside the person. This dream can go many ways to interpret it. Again, we have the earth, water, fire, air aspects of it, not so much fire. But we definitely have the space, time, and water and other things, elements of even metal and some other divergent things, which could be alchemic. Alchemistry is a transmutation of metal. It's a transmutation of different other things. But seeing that when these individuals approached, that their ice picks or whatever they were carrying turns into serpents, was definitely and symbolically meaning an impending threat. Now, a lot of people, whatever, dream interpreters, psychics, whatever you want to call them, never want to talk about the negative. They always want to spin some kind of thing and say, oh, it's a positive, you're being realized, or something positive is happening. My intuition on this dream means that you have many plotters, that you have a lot of problems, and they are coming at you all at once. They are coming at you all at once, and it is a perfect storm. And they are out for your blood, possibly impending lawsuits, some kind of issues with individuals, maybe, relationship problems that are multi-pronged, that, money issues, someone in your relationship is possibly broke, they can't pay their bills or their load, or you can't yourself, and you're feeling guilted by that, and so these other forces are coming at you to destroy you. Serpents, pretty standard, symbolic of evil intent. The fact that the ice picks, when they were stabbed into you, turned into snakes, or that they were snakes, means that this is not a happy homecoming, that these people are there to destroy you, or they're out for your blood. And that you absorb them means that they are definitely connected to you some way. The precipice of outer space and water, meaning you are backed up against the wall of the dock. So the dock is symbolic of being at the end of the rope. You also may have some thoughts of suicide. So I would just pull myself back from the precipice. Just concentrate on trying to pay your debts or speak with these evil intenters, although you probably despise them. If they're attorneys or some other people, or, enemies or friends with evil intent, it's better to broker some kind of arrangement than to just let things fall. If you allow things fall, you will be destroyed. Lake, winterlake.com, streaming QUE4.org. And during the break, I was discussing curses and ways to break curses. And it's very hard to do if one has been in place for a long period of time. I have removed curses for people, and I've also, as I said, put them on them. But if one wants to avoid a curse before it happens, always keep something of an accoutrement around your neck, some kind of symbol, something that is focused on your center, that you can, keep with you, and that will deflect a lot of negative bad luck. And, it's not a thing where, I've taken it off and all of a sudden I'm weak. Just keep it near you. And if you tire of it, then get a different accoutrement. This will prevent a lot of negativity from coming your way. If you're dabbling, so to speak, if you're dabbling in the world of the occult or supernatural, it's always best to keep something around your neck or keep something on your person that will deflect a curse. Do you have one of these accoutrements, Jason? No? You don't have one, do you? Oh, yeah, you do. Oh. Yeah, you said someone put a curse. Or no, you said no one's put a curse on you.
No, and that was not the intention of the stone. It was just the intention of just keeping energy positively circulating through my aura.
Yeah. And what is that exactly? What is that thing?
It's a stone. It's 98% carbon. So it's
Carbon?
Yeah.
That's not healthy. That's
No.
like being in the lead room. What is wrong with you? Being in that lead room is deathly to your health, and now you're carrying some carbon thing. You know, are you from Mars? I mean,
Yeah, maybe I'm just a different species.
yeah. What did we say that was? I think we called it hyper alien, or no? What was that?
Hydro? No, it was.
Yeah. It was,
yeah, no. Yeah. Hybrid.
yeah, an alien hybrid. Only an alien hybrid would have some kind of like charcoal thing around their neck, you know? I mean, it's not healthy.
Well,
All that lead and stuff's going to get in your bloodstream. You know, it'll go through your skin, you know, whatever.
No, it's copper.
Yeah.
Copper on it.
Oh, it's copper?
Yeah, there's
Oh,
no
I see.
lead.
I don't know.
No lead there.
I mean, it could get cancer or something. Although there is stuff that prevent cancer, too. Like, you know, certain stones. I don't know what the word is escaping me, but if you have like a certain stone, like on your finger or something, it regulates your energy force, you know, and keeps everything circulating correctly. I think that stuff works. I think it's an untapped power. I'm sure there could be a science behind it. You know, science one day is going to come out and say, wow, there is something to these magnetisms, or wearing this certain thing regulates your system a certain way. You know, it purifies you. I think it's going to happen. I mean, it's a lot also with like what used to be considered science fiction is now like science fact.
Oh, very much so, and a lot of the new science is going into the perception, the conscious perception, and how that has an effect on reality.
Yeah, I think so, and I think it's going to continue on. That the trudging of science is going to be digging more, and hence that's what occult is. Occult is secret. It means wisdom. It means some untapped power, and I think that through that journey, science is slowly going to reveal more and more. Like wearing an accoutrement, you know, center to chakra, even if you believe in a chakra, that would condone all your forces into one area, you know, and give you, you know, more energy, more strength, more vitality, more youth, you know, things you pray to Satan for all the time.
I don't know that I pray to Satan.
Or Hecate or Odin, you know. It's an Odin hour day, I think, with the snow and Loki, you know.
Well, the only Odin that I know is it's a Windows library package for the defunct IBM OS2. So if you wanted to run Windows on an OS2 pre-1995 computer, the package software is called Odin, O-D-I-N.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Oh, Odin? It
Yeah.
sounds like a virus. In 1992? Is that
Well,
when?
that's when Microsoft split with IBM, and IBM developed OS2 on their own.
And so you really are a tech person. I mean, you really know your gear. I mean, you were like predated everyone. You must have been one of those guys in your room with like on a plastic mat or something, rolling around on the floor.
Lots of computer parts.
Wow!
I mean, look at my office today.
I know that office is amazing. You've got so much stuff in there. You're like building bombs or something. I shouldn't say that on the radio.
Nothing like that. Just building things that do things to make this all work.
Have you tried the cell phone interceptor yet? I mean, I had my Merchants of War show, and we were gonna build. I was trying to build a cell phone interceptor. I really don't want to listen in on anybody though. But I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you stories. Back before cordless phones were encrypted, you'd turn on your radio, a shortwave radio, and you could hear what people were talking about in the house next to you.
Oh, so you were spying on your girlfriend or whatever. Did you try? Yeah, that's interesting.
It was an accidental discovery.
Oh, awesome. Because everyone lived close and everybody had those stupid things.
Yeah.
Everyone had a cordless phone and they'd run out in the yard, and talk on it.
It raises
to
a
hide from their
question,
family
though,
or
is,
whatever.
there's convenience and then there's security, and they're on opposite spectrums.
It's so easy to listen in on everybody now. I mean, if they get your phone number, you're doomed, or whoever they are, but...
It makes me wonder if Santa Claus was the original NSA spy.
It probably is.
He knows when you've been good or bad.
I know, right? Absolutely. I mean, the NSA, the National Security Agency, since we've said that on the air, now they will locate us and ping us and listen to everything we do. I
think you've already said the B word.
I know. I don't know about that, but I mean, well, they can lock in on certain keywords, and
they have since the 60s.
That's amazing.
Now they just record everything and then just add tracers on things that keywords.
But how can they record everything? You would need a massive archive. Although I guess they could shrink it down. I mean, you really want to have to listen.
Well, I hear that the military is about 10 to 20 years away from public technology, ahead of public technology.
Oh, yeah. They've always been that way. And they've even stifled technology, keeping people back, giving little grains of sand. But, with San Francisco and everything.
Just the day before 9/11, I think it was Dick Cheney. No, it was Donald Rumsfeld that went public, or it was during a discussion he was being questioned about $1 trillion unaccounted for in the defense budget during a Pentagon hearing. And then all that was just everybody got distracted from that the next day when the attacks happened.
Interesting. So I guess that went to Silicon Valley.
Well,
no, it didn't.
Their own Silicon Valley.
Their own Silicon Valley. So you think
all these underground cities.
Well, I heard about the Denver airport. That's why I never flew. I told my one friend never to fly through Denver because it's like an alien enclave or something. People get snatched from the Denver airport. I don't know if that's true, though.
Well, did you look at any of those paintings in the walls, those murals?
I have never been there because I don't want to get snatched. They probably already snatched me, though, didn't they? And so I probably got replaced a long time ago. Yeah, but no, what are those murals about the burning children and all this? Yeah, and the devil horse up front. What the heck is that?
I guess
I'm gonna welcome to the Denver airport. Here's the devil horse.
It's probably modern interpretations of the end times in the Bible, related to what their self-fulfilling prophecies are.
And they certainly belong to welcome you at an airport when you are on an aircraft.
Oh, yeah. Most people that look at those paintings where you just see a bunch of kids with blue eyes.
It looks like little demon elves. They don't even look like children. I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what is.
Welcome to Denver.
We're gonna blue eyes, blonde hair. I mean, have we been taken captive by the Nazis?
I don't know. I mean, that was just but I mean, the Denver enclave. They went way over budget when they built the thing. There's rumors there's some kind of hardened facility underneath, and then they've been debunked, where they open it up and it just shows conveyors and luggage or whatever. It could be all smoke and mirrors. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it could also be some kind of secret ops. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that goes on at airports. It'd be a perfect place to hide stuff, because really you're going to have a lot of noise, or you're going to have issues occur. I mean, hide it right out in the open or in a public space. It makes sense.
Well, if there are people that could look into the future, and what if there is some truth that would just be absolutely devastating to our population? Would they keep that from us?
I don't know. I mean, the truth is true. One man's truth is another man's lie or deception. It's just, it's so random. But unless the truth was something that could absolutely affect humanity on its whole scale, But I mean, there's definitely some deception going on, obviously, all around us. I don't know. But I am Winter Lake, winterlake.com, streaming QUE4.org. And we have reached the end of the Pentacle-Hours, and I will be back here tomorrow. And my elusive guest can go back to sleep now. And I think when the rest does come, dream, it'll be for the best.